Right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Joe, I think our guest checks all those boxes, so this is the perfect show for him. But this interview, Joe, could get a little dangerous. Are you ready to
Eh.
enter the Lions Den?
Absolutely. I love when you wear Knicks gear. I absolutely love it. But anyway, we welcome our guest today. An extensive history working not only just in the sports industry, the entertainment industry as well. Comes from a family of journalists. Has on-air experience, radio host, broadcaster. Again, for sports and entertainment. And again, we are going into the Lions Den, so. We'll have a lot of fun with this. We welcome Ben Lyons to the show. Ben, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the kind intro. I'm glad to see the check cleared, fellas. Thank you very much. That's great. That's great.
Yes.
No,
Anybody
thanks for
wants to
having
come
me on.
on, feel free to DM us and send us a check. But Ben,
Uh,
this is great. We've heard such great things about you from people in the industry. We'll get into that a little bit, but I want to talk a little sports first. We usually don't do this off the bat, but I wanted to ask you, has there ever been a more heads-up right fielder in baseball than Jose Canseco?
Heads up, literally. Gosh, I remember that when he got hit in the head. He was my favorite player growing up. He is quite the character post retirement, huh? He's always been larger than life and a character and a cartoon of the game. But yeah, that play God, he was so lucky that he played in the pre-social media era in a lot of ways. And also, it's funny, Otani is, one of only five guys to go 40-40 now, but one of only two guys to go 40-40 and 39 career pitches. And that includes Jose Canseco, who was a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox and I guess hurt his shoulder and didn't play the rest of the season.
That's a great bar trivia
Canseco,
question.
for the good or the bad of the game, he changed the game. He really impacted it more than any other player in the history of the game, I think, with being the whistleblower with the steroids and stuff.
I call him patient zero. That's what I
Yeah, there
call
you go.
Canseco.
But what a
Yeah, I loved him.
character.
Yeah, for real.
I think he did some stuff in professional wrestling, but he's making a comeback now. A big home run derby coming up, I think he's going to be in. So who knows what that's going to get.
I saw that him and Antonio Brown and Johnny Manziel, and like this is
Bunch of
actually
characters.
happening. It feels like the bar mitzvah I never had. I should get down to Sugarland, Texas, or whatever is happening.
Well, I think you maybe need to get a live episode of The Line coming straight from the game there, the show you're working on right now,
Yeah,
truTV.
what's the over under on Canseco dingers and beers crushed at the after party or at the car wash signing afterwards?
I
Oh,
wonder if Antonio Brown's going to wear a shirt for the home run derby. Probably not.
and I mean, can Johnny Manziel bet on the game the home run derby that he's in? How much does this bat go for?
They need to televise this event.
Oh man.
I think it's a gold mine. Funny enough, Jose followed me on Twitter about, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was.
When's he coming on the show? He's
I
ducking
don't
us.
know. I DM'd him. I gave him an
He
invite.
knows you hate A-Rod as well. That's why
Oh,
he
we love
does
A-Rod on this show.
That's that. I think that's
share
the point of,
follow.
yeah, we love A-Rod here. Even Nick is a Mets fan. Kind of can't get enough of A-Rod, especially as a broadcaster recently.
It's crazy though. I went up to Cooperstown this summer. My dad's dear friend and our family friend Joe Castiglione was inducted into the broadcasters wing, and being up there for that ceremony that weekend. You know, the players from my childhood: Canseco, Palmero, Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, Clemens, like. There's so many of them, A-Rod, who should be up there, who are not.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's like a palpable emptiness. Like as someone who grew up watching those guys play, you feel the absence of the lack of their presence up there for sure.
Yeah, I think not having a generation, regardless of the context, you don't like it's a part of baseball history. How are you going to tell the story at the Baseball Hall of Fame if those guys aren't in? That's my opinion about this. If they want to put an asterisk next to them, but I go through this every year because every year the ballots are always made public by the smart writers, and a lot of them kind of agree with the new age thinking, like Nick and I do. But yeah, no, I've never been a fan of that either.
Well, it's a special weekend. I highly encourage it for anybody who's never been to Cooperstown. That is like a place out of a Norman Rockwell painting. It's pretty spectacular.
Looks like we got to go up there one day soon, Nick. Hopefully. All right, so let's move on here. We know some of the best stuff that Spike Lee has produced and created. But from your perspective, Ben, what is the worst movie or commercial that Spike Lee has ever directed?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. We love Do the Right Thing, celebrating its, I believe, 35th anniversary. I know just got named the Alamo Draft House here in Brooklyn is now the Spike Lee Cinema, and he's showing Crooklyn there. I know that. There was a movie he made. He did my podcast for it in like 2015. He took a swing, and I think he just missed. It's like a vampire movie or something. I forget the name of it, but made it for about $1.40, and it was at the time when vampires were just like the thing in Hollywood. And he made this low budget, almost like a student film, but it was much later in his career. Yeah, Spike Lee swinging a miss on the vampires, but man, he's hands down my favorite filmmaker, and you see him in the neighborhood here in Brooklyn too, just watching life go by, which is pretty awesome. Being back here in New York.
Yeah, Spike Lee, well-known director, great guy, but I don't know, some people, when it comes to his sports fandom outside of the Knicks, call him like a fraud. A lot of people say he used to be a Mets fan, then you see him at the Yankee Stadium with Yankees hats. I don't know if there's any truth to that. They say he grew up as a Mets fan, but we'll give him a pass, but we won't give him a pass on his Vampire Diaries movie.
I'll say this though, like I had the privilege of going to see his the art exhibit that was at the Brooklyn Museum of just his private collection of memorabilia. He's got Roy Campanella's MVP. He's got obviously all these old pair of Jordans and stuff. The guy's just genuinely a sports fan.
Yeah.
Like he goes to so many events, the Olympics,
and he pays for
US
them.
Open. He pays for them. Yeah, he's guys like at every All-Star weekend. He's at the Super Bowl. Like the guy just loves sports. So I think his fandom obviously lives and dies with the Knicks and is a big
Yeah.
Yankee fan now, but it kind of transcends. I mean,
But
yeah, his stuff
I
is
still miss the good old days of Spike Lee with the Landry Fields jersey on the court. I mean, that was peak Spike Lee Knicks fandom for me.
boy, Landry Fields. It's when you have like your starting small forward wearing Asics running shoes, you're in for a long season.
He's the GM of the Hawks now, I think, right?
He
Yes,
is,
yes.
yes, he is an integral part of Linsanity, having offered up his couch for Jeremy Lin to sleep on during that time.
Good times. And we'll get into some Knicks talk a little later on, but let's talk about the elephant in the room here, and that's Adnan Virk. So you guys are really good friends. How did you guys meet? And what's your honest assessment of the Cinephile podcast? And how did you get him to the Oscars? Did he beg you for that? Did he pay you? What's the backstory there?
The answer to several of those questions is one and the same, in that I was hosting the live coverage of the Oscars for Oscar.com and ABC News. And it's a beast of a show, 7 hours live. You're killing time. You're throwing it from, the backstage press area to the red carpet, back and forth. And I was genuinely a fan of his when he was at ESPN. I never met him. And I used it as an opportunity to make a friend for life. I said to the producers, this guy's crazy enough to want to do this, and he'll be great at it. And yeah, we met on a Friday night of Oscars weekend at our pre-production dinner, and then and a friendship now, to last a lifetime. The guy's amazing. He's one of those people who lives what I like to call like the 26-hour day. How he has enough time to watch all these films, raise all these kids, know everything about the Kansas City Royals middle relief, tell you what's going on at the goaltending situation with the Maple Leafs. Has read, three the Tarantino scripts because it's the 20th anniversary of such a the guy's a machine and a tremendous broadcaster, and he can go live, he can vamp. You got to be a little crazy, I think, in live television, and he's nuts. So that's my man. I love that dude. But that's how I met him. Was through the Oscars. Was me reaching out and being like, "Oh, this guy would be great for this," and he was.
And you guys had that iconic moment when Adnan broke the news about Moonlight winning Best Picture.
Yeah, I love how you call it iconic, maybe in our mind, but yeah, it's that's definitely an Oscars moment to say, "Where were you?" And you're like, "Well, I was here. Take a look," But
Where were
yeah,
you
the
guys,
guy.
like backstage for that? Or you're on the red carpet
Yeah,
area?
yeah, it's crazy. Like the whole setup there is there are all these different twists and turns. And when you're working with the academy like that, they give you like a nice setup. But we were kind of right backstage where you see the photo where they all come out on the, and have their Oscar, like they're right behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching the show while like, not trying to get distracted by all the hype and blah. But man, that guy's a machine. How did you guys get connected with that legend?
So I used to work at MLB Network slash DAZN with him on his short-lived show Change Up on DAZN, which really changed the way you watch the game. And I was the social media producer, so I got to be right next to him behind a wall every night and listen to him do his thing and go in his ear. He's great because you say anything to him, he'll just repeat it and blurt it out, and it made me laugh. And he's become a really good friend. We've had him on the show now three times, no, four times, episode 100, 200, and 300. And,
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a few years. And, I'm very close with him as compared to Joe. But him and Joe are always hanging out, like on autograph signing. We take the subway to go to the Yankee games. So it's pretty wild.
Do you go with Adnan like Christmas Eve? He makes a 3 hour pilgrimage to New York City to watch like a 3 hour religious persecution film by Martin Scorsese or like whatever, like the heady 3 hour
I didn't know that.
religious like
I know
biopic.
Joe,
I wish him Merry Christmas.
he wishes a Merry Christmas every year because I didn't celebrate. He did invite Adnan over to his Christmas Eve dinner once, but now we know Adnan turned it down because he got to go watch the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a big movie going day for Adnan. He leaves the family at home to watch all the basketball, and he drives into New York to see some 3 hour, whatever the epic auteur pieces of the moment. That's what he knocks out on Christmas.
He's
That's
working on a podcast appearance per kid. We asked him on the last show if he was done. What do you think, Ben? You think he's done?
Well, I mean, it's like Adnan, we get it. Like you love De Niro, where you're both are having kids like throughout your life. Like we get it, dude. So
oh
good.
my God.
You got to
Oh,
clip this and send this to him. This is so good. All right. Let's reset. We'll go back to Adnan later. Let's get back to you. You attended the University of Michigan, one of the most prestigious schools in the whole country. Congrats on the national championship.
Like I had something to do with it. Yeah, go
Yeah,
blue.
right.
Sure. Who's
Go
got a
blue.
better
good job,
than us?
Ben.
No,
Good
Good
thank
job,
you.
Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
Where were
Yeah.
you when on the game, Ben? Where were you?
I watch with my folks. I realize as I'm getting older, these things don't happen as often as you'd like them to in a lifetime. And to say I watched the national championship with mom and dad in the living room was amazing. So yeah, I'm taking that in as a sports fan as I'm getting older.
Ben, I got to break the bad news to you. You're probably what, number 2 or 3 on our Michigan alumni previous guest list, right, Nick?
Yeah, the last one, Schefter was the last guest, right? Who else do
Yeah.
we have from Michigan? Was it
I'm trying to think.
was
We're
it
everywhere. They think
Lauren
it's
Jabara?
Syracuse. They think
Lauren
it's Lauren's,
Jabara
Lauren's awesome. I just met
he
her
is
down at NBA
awesome.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody thinks it's Syracuse taking over the sports media, but you got Jalen Rose, you got Schefter,
Right.
you got Lauren. I'm trying to keep a job, so we're out there.
Yeah. But what was your first job out of college?
Well, my first job out of college was I started producing segments for at the time, syndicated music show. So this is the early 2000s, and there was a show called Hip Hop Nation, and I would produce 10 minutes of TV a week. We had to book the artists that we would interview. We had to figure out the location. I'd work with the editor to deliver the clips. And it really taught me every single aspect of making television besides being on air, which I then, when I would get on air later in my life and career, I felt like really helped me because I realized TV was a team sport. Sometimes when you're doing a high pressure interview or shooting something live, you kind of only think about yourself, but you forget about the sound engineer, you forget about the makeup artist, the lighting, the location. I can walk into any room now and realize, oh, we should shoot this way, or even right now, this light is probably not best. We should probably tilt it that way. But now we got this. You're thinking about the frame, all these little basic things. And now I've been on, thousands of sets since then. But those days running around New York, we took Nate Dogg to a dog spa. God bless him. He gave an old English sheepdog a bath. We were in the studio with Mobb Deep and Raekwon. We played chess with RZA in Washington Square Park. And these are my heroes, and it was my first kind of opportunity to work closely with talent. And yeah, I really, really hold those kind of early days being on the sets of Hip Hop Nation shoots very very close and near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I always said that the best broadcasters, they always started behind the scenes because they learned the ins and outs. Whereas some people, they just get thrown out there, maybe some, nepotism or former athlete, and they're a train wreck because they didn't learn the business from the inside out. So you paid your dues behind the scenes, and then you ultimately you make that jump on air. You get this really cool job working as a producer and correspondent for E! Now, was the number one rule there, like, don't mess with Seacrest or you're going to be out? How did that roll there? Because Seacrest was the man at that time at E! And how cool is it for you, being a big sports fan and working in hip hop and stuff to now jump in entertainment, another passion of yours?
It was a really special time for myself to be able to be out at E! This is 2006, pre-social media. So you want to find out what your favorite celebrity's doing away from the screen, and you got to tune into us every day. And yeah, I mean, working with Ryan. So, hey, Ryan, what do you want to have for lunch? Let me ask you down here because you're the size I was in eighth grade. No, I loved being able to go live with that dude because everybody else was on their A game, right? Like you'd have a whole stat, you do a table read before the BAFTAs or the Grammys or one of those things. There'd be 50, 100 people in there and everybody's wanting to do like the best version of their job. That's what I could imagine playing on a team with a LeBron or a D Wade or one of those guys. Is like you just kind of everybody's kind of elevate. Like I remember being on set the year the Golden Globes strike, and we were doing the show from our studio, and everyone was watching Cowboys Giants, and he was rooting for the Cowboys, and we are like, "You're not from Dallas. Like, why are you rooting for the Cowboys?" And he was like, "Oh, because of Jess." We are like, "Because of Jess." Oh, because Jessica Simpson's dating Tony Romo, you're rooting for the Cowboys? No, that's sorry, challenge flag on the field, buddy. Like, and sure enough, the Giants won, and then they went to Green Bay and they won that first Super Bowl in 2008 or whatever it was. But no, the E Channel days obviously changed my life. That was really my first big thing I got to do: interview everybody, travel the world. Salema Masekela, Sal Masekela, is one of my best friends to this day. You know him from the X Games, and we were both kind of these sports guys talking Hollywood and red carpet fashion. So it was nice to have each other there, and nice to be able to kind of get through that experience together. But yeah, changed my life. I will always have love for the Vowel. That's for sure.
And congrats on Seacrest on landing Wheel of Fortune. I don't know how he did that.
Really, like 20 years from now. He's going to be like, all right, give it a spin. Like, I guess. All right, buddy.
Like, Sajak was dry and sarcastic, and you couldn't have gone like the other, like as far in the other direction as you could with Seacrest. He's he's a good, funny guy, I'm sure, but he seems like a little bit of a people pleaser.
I'm wondering.
I remember being live with him the year that Sacha Baron Cohen came as the dictator and like dumped the ashes on him, and they threw it back to us to send a commercial. That was the best.
I'm wondering who has more jobs right now, Seacrest or Adnan Virk. It's got to be close.
They're often mentioned in the same breath.
Rumor has it there might be a new job out there for Adnan really soon. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, you know what? Adnan's fearless. I mean, he gave that WWE thing a shot. He'll try anything, that guy.
Yeah, he would have gotten better if they gave him more time. It's a very, very hard transition to do something.
He's a
like
pro,
that,
man. He's a pro. Yeah, and he jumped headfirst into that, and he'll do whatever job that's thrown his way. He's a professional broadcaster.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck, Adnan, when you see this. He's gonna love this, absolutely. But so
he's gonna have to review this on the Cinephile podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how many maple leafs my compliments are gonna get, but they're genuine, Adnan. I hope you find them believable. 5 maple leaves.
And speaking of Maple Leafs, he's a Flyers fan too. Imagine.
He's all over the place. His Eagles and yeah.
He loves Philly. He loves the city of losers.
It's funny. It's football season. It feels like I was talking with a buddy about this today. So many fan bases in football feel like they define themselves by losing.
Yeah.
We never win in the end. We're the Buffalo Bills. We're the Browns. Chargers are going to Charger. We're
Jets.
the
I'm a
Bears. We're
Jets
the
fan.
Dolphins. The Jets. Like everyone's
Miserable.
never. Everyone's miserable. That's like the
Everybody's
identity
cursed.
around our franchise. You know.
Yeah, Nick doesn't realize how good he's had it, winning 2 Super Bowls. I get it's been 10 years since then, but
But listen, I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Rangers fan. I mean, a lot of losing going on.
Yeah, a
Giants
lot. It's
fan.
been tough here in New York. It's just not. Liberty got it going right now, #1 seed heading into the playoffs. So let's see if they can finally get a championship here for a basketball team. But man,
Liberty,
I'm
justice,
nervous.
liberty and
I'm
justice
nervous
for all
going.
New
I
Yorkers.
appreciate you rocking the Knicks gear because you know I'm on, but I feel like you're rocking that anyway. But you know, expectations are high now, which is very concerning. Like I am really not excited about this season, but I
I'm not.
am.
You
But I'm
can't be
not.
excited to see Julius Randle back.
I gotta be, missed 36 games last year. Spent the summer in New York. You're adding an all NBA talent to a team that went deep in the second round. So I hope he's committed and focused and ready to rock. I look forward to seeing him back.
I'm looking forward to seeing if the Sixers actually move to New Jersey and become the New Jersey Sixers because they might move to Camden. Did you see that, Jeff?
of course I saw that. Ridiculous.
Call them the Jersey Sixers. That'd be a
It
nice.
might happen. It might happen. What's crazy about them though is they have like 9 new guys on their team. Like it's a completely different team than last year.
Yeah, but
Um,
I like that Paul George fit for them. I feel like he's kind of like the right guy
He's
with
gonna miss the
us.
playoffs. He's always
Well,
takes
he's gonna miss a lot of
to
games,
get ready for training camp.
but I think with Embiid and Maxey, I think all their games kind of mesh. Like I can see why they did it. I feel like if the Knicks were fully healthy last year, they would have beaten Boston.
they've been giving them a run, I mean,
Absolutely.
having Mike Breen call like Porzingis 3-pointers in the NBA Finals is kind of like my Black Mirror. I mean, that
Yeah.
is really
What a great trade that was to get rid of Porzingis. I said at the time, this is so stupid. I think Joe was trying to talk me off the ledge. No, we're getting Durant. Everyone said we're getting Durant. Please, should have kept Porzingis.
Well, they
I
got Randall
really,
and a lot of
I really
cap
thought
space.
Porzingis. I really thought Porzingis was the chosen one. Like it's kind of like Ewan McGregor in that third Star Wars movie, like screaming at him with the fire. I kind of thought that.
Well, I mean, they hit reset, and it was the best thing that they could have done for the franchise. Everything was kind of in order. And the thing is, he's missed a lot of games. He's kind of like the third, fourth option in Boston. Here, we would have needed him to be like the star. He just wasn't healthy enough to be the star.
Could have signed him in
Yeah.
free agency last year. That's
You know how
all.
many games he played in New York in the month of April? I think one. Like he missed
Yeah.
over 100 games here, so it was tough.
Yeah, like I said, I think they did right with that trade. All right. Again, went off the rails. As good as this is.
That's my fault. That's all me. I just want
No,
to
this
talk
is
Nick.
this is good shit. This is really good stuff. So your experience, right? Your extensive experience in the sports and the entertainment world. You've worked at a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things for a variety of different media platforms. Yahoo, Players Tribune, Extra, Turner, PGA, ESPN Radio, Amazon Prime, CBS LA. Am I done yet? But
Yeah, I
anyway,
know, right? Where else?
so
What else is
but
left
it's
in
just
town?
there's
Yeah.
there's a lot here. I'm not gonna ask you to give like something about everything, but just kind of walk us through, like, weave the story of like how this one flowed into another, and what you picked up from each place.
Yeah, no, for sure. As you mentioned, gotten my start when I moved out to Los Angeles, covering film, covering pop culture for E and then other outlets, and was always a sports fan, but hadn't really figured out how to do it at all professionally. And the day Steve Nash was traded to the Lakers, the conversation on Sports Talk Radio in Los Angeles was, hey, Lakers fans, how many championships is enough for this trade to be a success? If they win only one title, is this a failure? And me, the Knicks fan, like you all, like the audacity, right? The entitlement. So I was on La Cienega by Seas Candy. I pulled over the car. I called in. I said, hey, it's Ben Lyons. You guys know me. I'm at Extra now. I used to call up, give you Kardashian reports from when I was at E. This guy's 38 with a bad back. You guys aren't going to win anything. God bless Steve Nash. We love him, but it's a wrap. Like Jeff Teague's better. And the program director at the time, a guy named Mike Thompson, heard my call, got in touch with me, brought me in for a meeting, and he said, why don't you try the Sports Talk Radio thing? And he gave me 2 hours by myself, 2 nights in a row. and I worked at ESPN for 10 years.
No,
And
I think
it
you and
was,
I got to call into the radio
yeah,
stations.
I think
that's
so
the
too.
point I'm making, is that it's that passion, it's that being a real fan, it's that feeling a connection to that culture of sports talk radio, of podcasts, now of blogging, whatever is the medium of the time. But I was a real fan. That's always going to be my ticket to the party. I was never a player at a level that anyone cares about. I was never, putting on a suit and tie to go to the arena. I approach it as a fan. And so whether it's what I'm doing now, working with Turner, hosting The Line, it's like a daily betting show I do with Adam Lefko. And, he's a fan. The guy loves betting. We're really betting on these games. We're
Adam
really,
Lefko, he big time, man. I used to make him look great,
Oh.
producing him at Bleacher Report. And once he got the NBA Tuesday night show, he, he won't answer our emails, our texts.
I
He
can
don't
only
want to call on
speak
the
to my
show.
journey. I haven't had the privilege yet of connecting with Adam. So I can only speak for my journey. But so whatever you're, the place you're working, if you bring that like genuine love for what it is you're
Yes.
covering, it comes out. Whether you're out at Sundance and you're doing an independent film, which I have a passion for, or you're covering the Knicks or Michigan football or whatever. But at the end of the day, what you guys are doing is it. Your own media, your own conversations, your own show, like that's become the thing now. And to have this real estate and this platform and to share it with others is really cool. So I thank you again for having me on. But you mentioned having Adnan on 300 episodes. Like that's something to scoff at. Like a lot of people have ideas in this space, but to have the commitment and follow through to actually do them like separates you from the pack. So cheers
Appreciate,
to you guys.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, you did mention The Line, which is Turner property. Arizona truTV. Any chance of a Impractical Jokers crossover? Uh, maybe pranking on some bets. And how did that opportunity come about for you? Because you didn't really do too much sports betting previously. I mean, you did some with Amazon, but like now the media, it's just like the sports, but mostly it's all about the betting. So how did you decide to make that transition?
Well, I first met the folks at Turner in 2016. I hosted a show called The Warm Up in partnership with Twitter at the time. I then hosted some of their programming for NBA TV or with Yahoo and some of the stuff. They did a game show called GM School. That was really fun that I did in the top of 2020. So I've had a relationship with them for a long time. And now, they've been through, I believe, 3 corporate mergers in 5 years. When that really like shakes out from the top down, it really changes, the fabric of a company. But at the core, like Turner is a Turner family. Like they're really good people over there, and it's the same people. It's not like a revolving door like some of the other places. And so, some of the people I used to work with said, "Hey, we're redoing truTV, making it a sports home. Want to come through and do some stuff for us?" So it was as easy as that, just a phone call, and it's been great. They're awesome. I love going down to Atlanta. It's crazy sitting around that office when they've got MLB stuff going on and NHL stuff going on and Turner Classic Movies with my old buddy Ben Mankiewicz down the hallway. Like it's a Madame Tussauds wax museum of like your sports heroes and TV broadcasters. So
Uh,
it's a great
Speaking,
place to
speaking
work.
of Ben, I mean, you probably saw last, you have to bring him up again, but Adnan, Ben, and Bob Costas out to dinner.
Yes, I saw
Yeah.
I mean,
that
I gotta,
powered
I gotta
lunch.
assume Bob picked up the tab on that one, but I mean, that's some dinner right there.
Yeah, that's like the old sports reporter show on Sunday mornings on ESPN. That's some heavy hitters there. And like, yeah, but that's how the line happened. I'm rolling with it and it's been great. And Tim Doyle's a character. We realized one of the gambling experts who comes on, we realized we played against each other in high school basketball. He went to Long
Huh.
Island Lutheran. I went to
Oh.
collegiate. So that was kind of crazy to do the math and realize, oh yeah, you were on that Long Island Lutheran team that beat us by 14 that day in January in 1999. But yeah, man, I always love betting on sports. But I'm telling you, if you guys saw my slips, like you would say I have a problem because I don't bet enough.
Hmm.
Like I 14 cents, 27-cent parlay. Oh, I got the house to myself for the weekend. Woo, let's put in $1 and see what comes out the other side. Like I really don't have the emotional strength to lose any amount of significant money. So handfuls of loose change has me dialed in.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I think that what the sports betting thing has done is it's weighed everything down to the point where it's like you can't even watch sports anymore without somebody coming up to you, whether it's like fantasy or betting, like, hey, what should I do fantasy wise? What should the decision should I make? Like, oh, look at my parlay, like, is Aaron Judge gonna hit a home run tonight? Like, I don't give a shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's taking all the
It used
enjoyment
to be
out of
like
it
at
for
a
me.
dinner party if someone was talking about their golf game or
Yeah.
politics or fantasy football,
Yeah, I don't
you
want to hear
kind of
it.
just like tuned out. And now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I had a three-team parlay and then Judge struck out in the ninth and I lost it. But
Right.
if you're watching a game that for me, it's just about seeing if I can get it right or not. It's like as sports fans, we all try to predict the games. We always have on some level. So I just want to see if I can get it right and not trying to buy a house with a pool.
So Nick mentioned the Impractical Jokers before. I want to bring it up quick because I saw Joe Gatto. He did a show at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank over the summer, like before the summer started. So have you ever had the opportunity to meet those guys? And at some point, do you think like you're going to do some crossover work?
I don't know if we'll do any crossover work. I did have a chance to meet them at a Derek Jeter Players Tribune golf tournament back in, I want to say, like 2015. And I couldn't believe that guy's like Obama tattoo was real. Like he has like one of them has like a giant Obama tat on his thigh, which was like really aggressive, I thought. Super nice dudes, but yeah, and they've been on for a long time, man. It's incredible like how many people identify truTV with the tournament and with Impractical Jokers.
Staten Island
Um,
greats, baby.
Staten Island legends, huh?
Listen, we're Nick and I are used to it.
They yeah, they're awesome. They've had a great run, and yeah, we'd have them on any time, obviously, but I don't know how big of sports gamblers they are.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're just sports people in general. But I mean, they are very, very funny people. Been watching the show for the longest time. Again, I saw him do stand-up comedy and I didn't know what to think, because it's like you watch like a sketch show. I used to love watching shows like The Whitest Kid You Know and stuff like that. So it's like those outrageous like take kind of shows. You don't know if those guys are going to translate when you see, a stand-up comic. Like
And
because
they're
I've
like a
seen,
little older, and they're like
and they are a little
adults, and they're like
older,
really getting after it and doing some wild stuff.
but he had a really good routine and he incorporated his family and it was very, very enjoyable, I thought.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to find a photo of them. I'll send it to you guys. Yeah, I met those guys a long time ago, but they've had a great run, and yeah, it's some of the stuff I cannot believe they actually do.
No, of course not. They're amazing. All right, so let's talk about your experiences working for Revel Moments and Stagwell. That's more on the brand and the marketing kind of side of things. So talk to us about what you like been doing there and what you learn.
Yeah, I work with a company called Stagwell. They're a creative marketing and holding company. They invest in creative agencies, 90 plus of them. They activate at Cannes Lyons, which is the big creative marketing advertising conference in the south of France every year. And they wanted to put on an activation called Sport Beach and create a home for 4 days where the world's top brand marketers, CMOs, creatives, and athletes could all come together, network, participate in panels, create content. So I've been able to, over the last couple of years, advise them on which athletes to bring out, which media to have coverage, from, and to I host some of the panels and things, and it's been really great. So this year, we had Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, Carmelo came back, the Kelseys were there, which kind of reminded me of the Twilight days on E, just because like everything was just crazier when Jason and Travis were there. Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, and we had Diana Flores. We had a lot of really talented, cool athletes come. And it's a really interesting experience for me as a fan, again, coming back to that passion to see how, these big brands and these top creatives and athletes come together and create partnerships and do deals that, you see pop up throughout the rest of the year. So I'm excited for Sport Beach 3.0 next season, next year. We'll see how it comes back, but it's a tremendous undertaking. They plan it all year long, and it's been really cool to work with that company in an advisory capacity bringing my network, years of experience, relationships, into the fold to try to pull this thing off. And yeah, I think we're 2 for 2 right now. And then Revel is a really cool platform, co-founded by my friend Dean Brody. I connected with him through our mutual friend in Jalen Rose. Dean worked in corporate consulting, and through a relationship with an NBA team, realized that only 1% of fans actually attend games. So if you're a team or you're an athlete and you're looking to connect with your audience, it's got to extend far beyond the confines of an arena or a stadium. So this platform, Revel, was founded as a way to really connect fans, athletes, and brands. And we've done a lot of cool experiences in the 3 years since it launched. Everything from working with the University of Michigan football team, Team 144, that won the national title, doing live, Q&As with their incoming freshman class at the start of season, to stuff with top WNBA players, working with Nike Japan, launching product. So it's been really fun to work in a new platform that's emerging, finding itself, but still really, at the end of the day, leans on storytelling. Our experience, the Revel experience, has a produced element to it, and we have a lot of surprises and video and things that really engage the conversation. So, trying to round out my own personal portfolio, working with big traditional media, but then also working in the startup space. And at the end of the day, just finding cool ways to, be a part of the sports conversation.
Well, Joe, I think we need to get to the next sport beach, that's for
I
sure.
think so too.
And
South of France, you guys look good in linen. What do you think, huh?
Oh yeah, I don't disagree.
And I think you're right about big sports fans. Like, they might not necessarily go to games. I really don't go to too many games at this point in life because, number one, the traffic is horrific. The parking is
That's
really
not the number one
expensive.
reason.
And
That's not the number one reason. And the number one reason isn't even in your 1-year-old son. Let's be real. What is the number one reason?
well, I've given you the reasons. Too far, too expensive.
The 400 level at Madison Square Garden for Knicks games are $325
I
to
can't
get in.
afford it.
That's why fans can't get in.
I've only been to
I
like
feel you.
2 Knicks games in my life, and
I hear you. I'm with you, man. It's like, do I pay the mortgage? Do I go to a Knicks game? It's tough. Or even the Yankee game now is so fast. Like, I went the other day, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now the ticket was $8 in the bleachers, which is
Right.
nice. But and then my beer was more expensive than the ticket.
Yeah.
But
It's insane, isn't it?
why are they trying to get us out of there so fast? Like,
I don't know.
it took me an hour on the train to get there.
It's funny they wanted to shorten the game. I think what they did was actually shorten it too much.
I agree. I totally agree. Like, I would love a 4-hour baseball game, but yeah, man, going to games is a real privilege. Not everyone, and regardless if it's a financial thing, a time thing, family commitments or whatever. You only do it so many times a year, but think about it. It's 20,000 Knicks fans in the Garden. You got another 20 million around the world, and so it's a way to connect with those fans and bring that experience to them. So yeah, it's been really cool to work with a new startup platform.
Absolutely. You have covered a lot of award shows and you've worked some. What is your favorite award show to watch?
Um, to actually watch, I would say it's probably the Grammys, just because the musical performances are so awesome, right? And the world's colliding, and the different legendary artists. I've my Oscars experience, I realize I'm spoiled, but to sit on the couch and watch it with my family is a good time. That's where we saw the Will Smith slap year.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been backstage, I've been on rooftops, I've been the official Twitter correspondent, off the stage, I've been every different kind of area of that building. It's a marathon of a day. I mean, you're putting on a tuxedo at 11 in the morning, and you're on your feet all day, and everybody's just like on. And what's crazy about it is it's such an unnatural environment. Like, human sensory overload shouldn't be that intense, right? But because I've done it 9 or 10 times, I'm kind of comfortable in that environment. So it's strange to feel like you're just kind of you're at your place of business, your office, and it's the Oscars, and it's crazy. And a lot of these actors only go a handful of times. So to do it with Stephen A. Smith in 2020 was very surreal, because he's covered a lot of big sporting events, but I could tell he was a little out of his element. And, it was the year Parasite won. And he was a big Once Upon a Time in Hollywood fan.
Great movie.
And he's like,
It was a great movie.
I gotta be honest. I think Quentin Tarantino was wrong. I mean, you had Parasite, they were inside the house, they were outside the house. That's what you saw. And I'm just like, wow, these guys like X's and O's, like give me the hot takes on Korean cinema here. That's awesome. But yeah, it was a trip. That was definitely a surreal moment in my
I think
journey
it's
in
about
career.
time that we get a new host. I mean, how many years in a row are we get Jimmy Kimmel? Give me a new host for once, please.
He's out. He said he's done. He said he's not doing it.
Goodness.
Wait. Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, Ben, honest assessment: do I resemble him or look like him in any way? Yes or no? He's
yes,
the number one. I do, right?
Yes, you could be like cousin Sal's brother.
Yeah, cousin Joe.
Cousin Joe.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
my friend
really
has actually worked. My friend has worked for. He worked for cousin Sal for a long time. So I floated the idea, and some of them kind of agreed with it. And it's been brought up before, like the lookalikes, like here and there. And the number one I get is always Jimmy Kimmel. And even I've been to the supermarket.
I'm just getting a closer look here. I'm just getting a closer look. Cousin Joe.
If I do this, right? Like,
I was about to say, Adnan's a far funnier podcast guest than I am. So in his episode, you really looked like Jimmy Kimmel because you were laughing a lot more. In mine, right? It's not quite a little bit too like Reed Scott from the TV show Veep. I see Reed Scott.
Okay.
Wow. What about me? You got anybody for me, doppelganger?
Yeah, you're like the vegan Gronkowski.
There you go. I'm gonna have the shaved head like Gronkowski.
I'll tell you something.
I'll
tell you something.
Gluten-free Gronk over here.
He gets Gronk a lot more than
I get Gronk.
Yeah.
When you worked at Bleacher Report, they were gonna go like do something with Gronk, and I was like, "You guys got to bring me. Like he'll like think we look alike, not like muscular wise, but now skinny Gronk, I could be that." The other one I also used to get is Daniel Tosh, former E guy.
Sure, absolutely, yes, Tosh. Yeah, Tosh 0.0. You're Tosh 0.0 over here.
Yeah,
gluten-free Gronk.
That's good. No, I like it. I like that comparison. Who do you want to see host the Oscars?
Oh, obviously we all want to see Chris Rock, right? I mean, Chris Rock's the obvious one. I think that ship has maybe sailed. I'd like to see The Rock. I think The Rock would do.
Me and Joe have been saying it for years. The Rock should host the Oscars.
He really should, man. It's funny, before the whole Will Smith thing, I always said like the Smith family, like all four of them as a family would have been a good one. But it's a thankless job hosting those things. You're roasting the people in the room, you're playing to the people in the room, playing to the people at home, keeping the show on the tracks. It's not about you. Right. Yeah, it's tough. It's today's social media era. You got to think too, back in the day, that was like the one chance we got to see all of our favorite stars away from, their movies they made and stuff. And now it's like they all sit there like, don't make me a meme. Don't make me a meme. Like, I picked my nose. My career's over.
Yeah, you got to have the coast with the tough skin back in the day, like Billy Crystal, Jimmy Kimmel.
Nikki Glazer's doing the Golden Globes. I think that's
that'll be fantastic.
She's going to be amazing. She did awesome.
But Kimmel, I mean, he was just like, his jokes sucked. Is right the same stuff for 4 years, and he was like, cowering to the celebrities. Like, oh, I don't want to be too rude. I need you to come on my show tomorrow. Like, you need somebody who's going to be a little more vicious, I think.
Well, it's not a roast, so that's the Oscars, that's the Globes, that's the Oscars still has this kind of like, it's the Academy Awards thing.
Yeah,
so you're right, but vegan Gronk wants to see some razzing. Like, I get it,
I really want the dress code to be enforced, because some of these people as of late are just like dressing like, are they dressing in the dark? If they're paying a stylist, they're getting ripped off for some reason.
I agree. The men especially, like Cillian Murphy, put on a tie. You're about to win an Oscar. Like, come on.
Okay, if we were handicapping it, as of right now, would you handicap as the favorite? My choice would probably be John Mulaney.
Oh, there you go. He'd be fantastic. He's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live. It was announced today.
Yes.
I think he'd be a perfect, because it's like it seems to be best when it's somebody who's kind of like showbiz adjacent. Like they aren't necessarily an actor themselves, but they're kind of part of.
And another name that was thrown out to me was Sebastian Maniscalco.
And that, I feel like him and Adnan have like a special friendship. I feel like they have a good connection. They got a thing going on, you know.
Here's mine.
Yeah, I'd like to see him. That'd be good. He'd be
I
a
think
good
that's
one.
a good one. How about Conan O'Brien? He's not a tied to a network. He'd be good.
Maybe host the Emmys. I'd like to see Conan. He's a real TV guy to me, you know, to host the
Yeah.
Emmys. Jon Stewart could come back maybe and do it. He's back hosting stuff
How
in an
about
We've seen
election
that.
year.
if he can get out of shorts?
Uh, how great is that like that guy's just become a cultural fashion icon? It just gives all of us dudes hope, you know?
I agree. So we're on the topic of celebrities and stuff. Who is your favorite celebrity or athlete, right? Because you've been around a bunch that you've had the opportunity to interact with.
I always realize they're on their best behavior when they're with me. But someone who never is and has always been real from jump. I really enjoy Anthony Mackie. Like the interviews are
Hey.
unusable. Like they're not for air. We've become friendly. That guy's insane. I really do enjoy Anthony Mackie. But I was lucky in that when I was working at it was during the production of Harry Potter 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I got to visit those sets and cover those premieres, and I've seen those kids literally grow up.
Wow.
Tom Felton remains a dear friend and a golfing buddy, and I really enjoy the Harry Potter experience. Like I wasn't the biggest fan before getting to cover those films, and then when I started like being on the Harry Potter beat and realizing how special it was, I went back and read everything and watched and got into it and understood, what it's all about. And man, they did it right over there. Like those kids have all grown up to have great careers and are well adjusted and are all financially set and just continue to bring joy through being a part of Harry Potter. Like none of them pretend they weren't in it and go do something else. Like yeah, big Harry Potter fan over the years.
Did
It
you
was
meet
our
any other
generation Star Wars.
Kardashians while you were working on
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yes, I did. Not on the Harry Potter set, but we were the E Channel, so
Yeah.
the Daily 10 did Kim's first television interview ever. Like
Mm.
Sal did that. We did tons of stuff with them over the years, and they were always like super killer to deal with. I never had a bad Kardashian moment like at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Hard to keep up with them these days that they took the money and ran and went to Hulu. They're
hard to
not really
keep
on
up with them.
they're not on the
Yeah.
grid anymore at E. So they owe E a lot. And I don't know how he did it, but Ryan Seacrest created the show. He was in their Christmas photo every year. And
I can't like there's got to be some wild footage that exists of me. Like I think I interviewed Scott and Courtney at some like Halloween party once. There might be some funny footage there. Obviously, we were there during all the Kanye stuff with Kim, like when they first
Mhm.
met and started dating, all that. Man, yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago, but they were always super professional, like, dealing with us and realizing we were all on the same team at the E channel. So it
All
was
right.
always easy with them.
Let's talk about some other professionals that are excellent at their job. New York Liberty. Are they the best
Yeah.
sports team in New York in the last 8 years?
Absolutely. They have been so consistently good from before Brianna Stewart came, when Sabrina got healthy. They add the two MVPs and Double J and Jonquel Jones. They're really, from top to bottom, a well crafted and well put together, well constructed team. And now he's got to stay healthy through this playoff run, man. I'll be so
Yeah.
excited if they can really get back to the finals. Now, people forget.
Semifinals matchup versus the Aces.
Exactly right. It's because they're the seeding, and it's not by
Right.
geographic alignment. So they might get the Aces in the second round, which would be crazy. But that
Yeah.
sport needs more teams. It was cool today. They announced that Portland's coming. That's going to be team number 15. They've got Toronto and San Francisco on the way. Once they get to 16, or hopefully in the next 5 years, like 20 teams in that league, I think it'll just do wonders for
Bring back the
everybody.
Comets. Houston Comets.
Bring back the
Bring back the
Comets.
Comets.
Detroit Shock, Charlotte's the Buzz, I think. But yeah, I mean the Comets in Houston seems like an obvious one. I love it, man. If you're a real hoops fan, like you just love basketball,
Yeah,
and I live
it's a
down
lot
the
of fun
street
to
from the
watch.
Barclays, it's awesome.
The
Yeah.
Barclays has a great environment.
Joe and I
Yeah.
had the privilege to get media credentials last season for a
Nice.
game. So, they were great to us. Got to go on the court, do what
Very
we
cool.
do. Went to the
Yeah.
Qatar Airways lounge and ate, which probably shouldn't have been in there, but that was awesome as well. And they
Like,
treated
hey,
us
got a
very
chicken
well.
sandwich, and I interviewed Courtney Vandersloot. Like, it was
Listen,
killer.
I said to Joe when we were there, I was packed. I said, Joe, the Nets could never even dream about having this many people in the seats here
For
because
real.
it was a great game. Fell a little short in that championship round against the Aces, but this year, it's a different team. It's like
Yeah, no, but Nigel Laney is so much fun to watch play basketball. She guards all five positions, hits the
Rutgers
corner
alum.
three. She's like such a glue, like Swiss Army knife kind of player.
Right.
And
And you're
yeah,
Ben, you're very dedicated to Liberty. I mean, you were doing Liberty live stream shows from Japan. I mean, that just goes to tell
you
you
saw
the
that.
level of commitment you
You
have to
know?
Liberty.
I love it, man. Like I got to work with the PA, led by Terry Jackson, Jaron Jackson's mom. I got to do some voting stuff with them. And anytime lucky enough to be in the presence of anybody who's currently in or played in the W, I'm just always
Yeah.
impressed. Like they're just
Now
really
you're in
incredible.
Brooklyn. How far are you from the Barclays?
I'm like it's like a 12-minute walk, like
That's
Wow.
awesome.
close
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, so I'm there, man. It's just they're getting expensive. Talk about getting like tickets. Going to the Liberty game all of a
Yep.
sudden became like a
Shout out.
thing. I went Friday night in Atlanta. I went to the Dream Mystics game, and they're at this place called the Gateway Center Arena, which is just 3,500, so it's really small. But man, like the energy in Atlanta for the Dream was super killer, and I love the sport. I'm all in on it.
Nick had a brilliant, wasn't it? I don't know if it was you, but there was an idea that came across our way. And obviously with Sabrina, she's done the NBA three-point shooting and with Caitlin Clark and the ratings have exploded. Somebody brought up the idea last year to me. They should have had Halliburton and Caitlin Clark versus Steph and Sabrina during the All-Star
Yeah, but she was in
weekend.
college still. That would have been illegal.
Yeah, but I mean, it was again an idea floated, and it's
Yeah.
like the premise of it is like, how can we incorporate
Right.
WNBA and to
I'm
do
sure we'll
all
see Caitlin Clark at the NBA All-Star game.
right?
I mean, yeah, shout out to Sabrina for doing it
And
like
by the way,
that.
She's
Sabrina
awesome.
she
She's
would have won. She
awesome.
should have won.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
she was
with the
awesome.
WNBA line.
That was crazy. And I like your idea, Joe. I think it's a good idea. I would love to see more of that.
Kind of incorporate in there because the
Back in
NBA
the day,
players,
what's the craziest is they had Craig Hodges do it when he wasn't even in the league. He was out of the league and he wore an NBA Cares or an NBA Stay in School shirt. Everyone just knew he was the best in the world at this contest. So they should just have him in it. He wasn't even on a team and he was in it, which is pretty crazy.
yeah, they have a lot of ideas that I think that they should look into to incorporate the WNBA players into what the NBA people are doing, especially during All-Star Weekend. I think that's a monumental opportunity, and I think it's something
Yeah.
that they should do moving forward. But let's talk about All-Stars. We talk about our guy, Jalen Brunson, even though he was left off the Olympics team. Probably the greatest Knick of all time as of right now. No exaggeration. And if he wins, he's definitely going to be cemented as the greatest of all time. But who is your least favorite New York Knicks player of all time?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I really have a strong reaction to really the era of Michael Doliak, Shanton Anderson, Howard Isley, Clarence Weatherspoon, Othella Harrington, Mike Sweetney.
Sweetney. Oh, boy.
Like
Ugh.
that era of Knicks basketball. I was living across the street from the Garden. I was going to the games in the upper deck. There were $10 tickets. I hated those teams. They were awful. So I'd say Othella Harrington and Clarence Weatherspoon, Michael Doliak, just as one, put them
Nice.
all together.
How about
That
Eddie
whole
Curry?
era was the worst. Eddie Curry, although he did send me I got a cameo for my birthday from Eddie Curry. That was nice.
Of all players.
My friend Josh got me that for my birthday. Jared Jeffries. I don't. Yeah,
And they
I don't trust.
remember they brought him back.
Brought him back. Jared Jeffries on that list for me. Sorry, dude. There's some guys once a Nick, always a Nick, but I guess it's once a Nick, always a Nick. I guess is kind of what it is with guys like that.
Oh, it was good to see Stephon Marbury back at the Dolphins.
Andrea Bargnani's on that list.
Oh yeah, they
Andrea
traded
Bargnani's
a
on
few
that
first
list.
round picks for Bargnani. That was
Come
terrible.
on.
I always got heat for this, but I couldn't stand Tyson Chandler because
What? That guy was
he was
awesome.
always getting teed up and or not getting back on defense when again thought he got fouled, and he sucked against the Pacers in the playoffs.
He did.
I
He,
couldn't
he was
stand
terrible
him.
that series. He
Terrible.
did invent like the tip out though, the like extra possession like tip
Yeah.
out. It's like his signature move.
Well, he averaged like 2 points a game against the Pacers, and I was like, enough for this guy. Like,
I feel like that guy
7 foot
really fell
tall.
in love with like photography and Fashion Week when he came to New York. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden the capri pants came
Yeah.
out, you
Do
know.
you have some favorite Knicks? And you can't be like a star. Don't be like, oh, I love Patrick Ewing. Like, give
No,
me a Nick
no.
that is like people are like, oh, really interesting. That's
Well,
your
I always loved Chris Childs because he was all NBA second interview team, which I just thought was really cool. And they used to do that back in the day. And he obviously got into it with Kobe. God bless him. Eddie Lee Wilkins back in the day, backing up Patrick, was my dad's favorite. Everyone remembers Herb Williams, but Eddie Lee Wilkins was a good one. Gerald Wilkins, of course, Dominique's brother. I did like the Bomb Squad and Johnny Newman and that whole team. I think they signed Mo Cheeks as an assistant coach now in this current group. So it's nice to have Mo Cheeks back in the building. Obviously discount double check. Steve Novak,
he was
that
the
guy's the
best.
best.
He was the best.
And then
Can
they
you
let him
imagine?
go.
Can you imagine? He was in that Bargnani trade. If he was in today's NBA, oh my God, he'd be like a 4-year, $70 million player.
You know who would have really, really, really been excellent in the current state of the game? David Lee.
Double David Lee.
And the thing is, you could say he was about 5 to 10 years ahead of his time.
I was crushed when he was gone. He went to the Warriors. I was so
became an all-star, had the injuries he had to deal with later in his career. But I mean, again, like you said, put him on a team right now, that hybrid kind of 4-5, where like you could get away with getting a 6'8", 6'9" player, playing him at the center position. He had a better shot than a lot of these guys. I feel like he would have been perfect for today's game.
He really would have. Another one of my favorites. He was the MVP of the Italian League this year. Undrafted, the greatest Westchester Knick of all time, Langston Galloway.
Oh my God.
Big LG Kicks fan. And, he is part of the continuing of the tradition along with Bobby Portis that year of every single year of the NBA Finals. There has been a Knick or an ex-Knick on one of the rosters.
Yes.
We had Luke Cornett, obviously, this past season. But DeAndre Jordan with the Nuggets, it's just and Langston with the Phoenix Suns. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to J.R. Smith's brother Chris Smith too. He's another one.
That was when I was like, I can't believe that J.R. Smith negotiated his new contract, and it said, "I got to sign my brother." I was like, "This is such a way." I hated that.
My aunt and uncle are from Champaign, Illinois. So when the Knicks got Frank Williams, there was like a lot of excitement in our household. And I think his first shot in the NBA was a corner three from Detroit, and he hit the top of the backboard. I might be mistaken, but I think that's the fact.
Quick shout out to Pablo Prigioni. Loved when he would try to steal the inbound pass. I mean, why can't everybody play like that?
Another signature play. God bless him. His 35th year on Earth was also his rookie year of the NBA. They're like, you know what? Melo's in the prime of his career. He's third in MVP voting and leading the league in scoring. Let's bring in a 35-year-old rookie point guard. What?
So,
anyway.
New Yorker, you lived in California as well. What is your go-to type of pizza?
Oh, slice. Are you kidding? I got Luigi's downstairs.
Plain
I've been
cheese.
waiting for this interview to be done. So I'm like, go grab a slice. Yeah, no, that's the thing I miss the most about New York. And everybody in LA says, oh, we get our water sent from New York. We get special dough. The one, nah. The pizza in LA is not it. So yeah, just grabbing a slice from anywhere in the city is like one of the great things about living back home.
Very nice.
What's your spot in New York? What are your pizza spots? Who do you got? Who do you like?
Well, we're in Staten Island, so you're not going to know any of the places, but
put them on the map. Put them on the map.
Spots here. Brothers is pretty good. For Sicilian only. What do you think? Joe's got us some spots by him.
He's never been to Lee's Tavern, which is the new
actually went spot.
Did you? That's right. I forgot.
So
I'm trying to think of
Enos is out here. Yeah. There's a lot of good spots. If I go to Brooklyn, I'm going to go to L&B Sporting Gardens. That's the go-to spot.
We got to get Landry Shamet out to Staten Island to experience some of these pizza spots now that he's a
I
Nick.
like. I've always liked Grimaldi's.
Grimaldi's is good.
I'm
Brooklyn
trying to
spot.
think. Lucali's is good.
Yeah.
Obviously DeFar is, one of the biggest spots. The thing is, there aren't that many good spots in like Manhattan. You got to go out to Staten Island. You got to go out to
Listen,
Brooklyn.
99-cent slice is pretty good in Manhattan for
See,
the
my
price.
dad swears by the 99-cent slice. There's a reason why. There's something's
Nah,
going on. There's a reason why that slice is $1, and I don't want to know why. Like, I'm
It
not a
tastes
99
good.
cent slice guy. He loves
nah, not a 99 cent. You got to listen. If you're in New
them.
York, you got to make your way. You're no further than 25 minutes from a really good pizzeria or a nice Italian restaurant.
I should make the trip out to Staten Island for some of these spots. You guys got to let me know.
We
Joe
have a
and
lot of really good.
Pat's, that's another
Yeah,
good one.
Joe and Pat's is very good. We have a lot of really good restaurants, Italian places on Staten Island. That's the truth.
I used to go out there when I was a kid when they opened up Woo Wear. That's why I went to Staten Island. There
Oh.
was like a golf course out there, and there was like
Yeah.
a Woo Wear shop, and I was like, oh,
There used
let's
to be
go
a
to
great
Staten Island.
store called Stephen Barry's. They
Of
sold the
course,
Stephon Marbury clothing and shoes. And
yes.
shout out to Stephon because they're affordable shoes, $15. So
How great was it seeing all the ex-Knicks sitting courtside this year? Like that was just the best,
I was surprised to see Marbury there.
John Wallace and just all the guys there. It was
Sprewell's at
fantastic.
every game.
Yeah, I love that.
That was a good.
I thought it was going to get like to a point, and I'm glad it didn't, where Starks like tripped Tyrese Halliburton or like Marbury pushed, TJ McConnell or something. It was getting close. And so I'm glad the AAU dads like kept their heads cool.
Yeah. So Ben, if someone came to you for advice and they're like, "Hey, I want to get into sports and entertainment," because that's really not something a lot of people do, and they ask you, "What's the path I could take to get to that point?" What would you tell them?
Look, my paths are going to be very different, obviously. And that's what's so, I think, empowering. It can be at times overwhelming when those are looking to embark on a career in sports or entertainment because there isn't a traditional path. You don't go to a school, go to a second school to get a fancier degree, and then apply for an internship. It's not like a steady totem pole to success. So you really kind of have to carve your own way. And if you can take some like comfort in that and find some strength and inspiration in that, I think that's like really important out of the gate is to realize, okay, there's no right path for me here. So I'm just going to jump in the pool and start swimming and figuring it out. So that's one. But two, I would say, really become an expert in your community in an aspect of the business. So for me, it was covering film. I became the trusted voice for my group of friends, for my network of contacts, for what was going on in movies, what was the cool new movie to see, who's the hot director to watch, like really be the go-to for your immediate circle. So if you're trying to be a big sportscaster at family Thanksgiving, Uncle Joey should say, "Hey, Ben, what's going on with the Knicks?" And you should have something to say, like be able to be the person in your immediate community. And then that community will just like naturally grow as you get on a podcast, as you come on a show, as you get a job, like just grow that community of people looking at you to be the go-to for an area of expertise. And then you're able to branch out and do other things. So for me, it was, like I said, starting as being the go-to guy for film. And then obviously a love of, sports and politics and culture and other things came afterwards. But yeah, and I would just say like it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. A lot of people obviously have success quickly. They start a TikTok 6 months later. They're the Haktua girl, and then they're on the Tonight Show. Or there are so few stories, and like being famous is not the end goal, right? The end goal is to have a career in creating content that you're proud of, or inspiring people, or finding your way to touch the game that you love and want to be a part of. So realize that it's a grind and you're in it for the end game, and it's not going to happen overnight.
Excellent advice. And for you in your life, your career, what is your I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place where you want to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They said, "Ben, that's an awful idea. Why would you do that?" And you said, "You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this." And I get
Oh
to
wow, that's a great question, and it is important to believe in yourself and bet on yourself. And it's when I made that move to Los Angeles. I was 24 years old. I had left college early. I was back working in New York. I mentioned Hip Hop Nation. I was producing music videos. I had just gone on MTV, so I kind of got that TV itch. And some of my friends and guys I knew growing up were like, "Oh, why are you going to go to LA? You're stuck in traffic. New York's the best. New Yorkers, right?" Or it's even with like, anybody from a small town who realizes, hey, I want to pursue my dreams. I might need to leave my community, my immediate family. I'm glad I got over that and I was able to just go out to LA and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I got on TV, and 6 months later was the E channel, and the rest is history for me. So just having that conviction to say, you know what, I'm going to go out west and give it a shot, see what happens. Worst case scenario is I'm going to play a ton of golf and I'm going to sit on the beach and have some stories for the porch when I'm 90. But yeah, just having that courage to leave home, even though I'm from the greatest city in the world, like that was it for me. It's like, yeah, go out west and see what you got.
Joe, California is calling your name.
Listen, it's in the name, Joe Cal, right?
I mean, you already look like Jimmy Kimmel, so you're
I
gonna,
know. Now I need
be
the
able
right.
to just network right and jump right into Hollywood, and you're gonna know everybody.
I need the right opportunity. I
Now I
always
can't. Now I can't unsee it. Now that you
right.
guys have mentioned it, yeah, it's amazing.
Like I said, the number one thing that people come up to me when, talking about lookalikes is, wow, you look exactly like Jimmy Kimmel.
Beard.
And again, it's like
Yeah, there it is.
when you laugh and scrunch the face. Yeah. Last
I
question
hope that
for you.
advice made sense. I don't know. I don't want to ramble
No,
or
it's
anything.
good. It's
Really
good
believe
advice.
that, like, just
We
like
get good
having the
advice.
courage to leave your community or leave home. It's tough.
Listen, I've been trying to do it for 3 years. If you only knew.
You
My
can
my
always, you can
last
always go home after the fact. So
right. There's always home. My last question, Ben. Who has the best golf game you've ever seen?
Oliver Hudson, Kate Hudson's brother. That guy.
Hey, look at that.
I saw him shoot like a 68 in the rain at Mountain Gate once from the gold. I was like, that is nuts. He's the best golfer in Hollywood, hands down. And Jessica Simpson's husband, he used to play for the 49ers. I'm convinced he's Thor's cousin. Like that guy hits a ball further than I've ever seen. But yeah, Ollie Hudson is the best golfer in Hollywood. No, hands down.
Good to know before I get out there. Well, Ben, we thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Last thing before we let you go. It's game one of the NBA Finals, the Knicks and the Nuggets, right? Whoever they're playing. And then all of a sudden on the Garden PA system, you hear, now introducing the Knicks, Charles Oakley, right? We got to get this guy back in the building in order to affect the juju in any way of a future Knicks championship run. Because it seems like if we're going to get everybody together, for some reason, like we got to figure out a way to get Oakley back in.
I'm so glad you said. I'm so glad you said that. I saw Mr. Oakley this summer at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy golf event, supporting Jalen's school. I told him I listened to him on the starting lineup with Frank Isola and Scalabrine. He's always calling in. And I said, we got to get you back at the Garden, man. He said, I'm trying. You're absolutely right. We're going to figure that out. I think Knicks Nation, we're going to come together. We're going to get Oakley back in the Garden. It would be a really, really special moment that has to happen in order for this curse to be lifted from this franchise.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Ben, we appreciate your time. Thank you for all the
No,
amazing
thank
stories.
you guys for taking an interest, making me feel like a big shot, and continued success with the podcast. I look forward to the 400th episode with Adnan Virk.
I can't wait.
2 years to go.
Only 2 years. But Ben, where can we find you? And if there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. But once again, appreciate your time.
You find me at the Knick game. You find me at the Liberty game. You find me on the golf course. It's like Deion Sanders. I'm not hard to find. Like, I'm around, No, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's fun to talk New York sports with you both. And please send me those Staten Island restaurant recommendations. I'd love to take a day trip out there. It'd be fun. You guys be good. Peace.
Thank you very much. That's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Ben Lyons, my co-host Joe Calabrese, I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.